Slate Man.
Yeah, the Adventures of Slate Man. This is a guy who like goes around with this.
Such a good idea.
Huh?
Welcome back into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Stephen Levine, Bob Pockrass on my left, Tom Vandervoort on my far left. And guys, has there been a team stronger than Michael Waltrip Racing in 2012? Of 21 team starts, 12 top 10s.
Pretty good. I mean, Roush Fenway's looking pretty good, but
I mean,
Michael Waltrip Racing is a lot more surprising, Bob.
Yeah, I mean, Stewart-Haas has 3 wins, so you may say, well, you know, Michael Waltrip has none. But when you talk about consistency and just from where they were a year ago, you know, I mean, every week you're like, well, is this the week that Michael Waltrip Racing will finally go back to where they were? No, it's like every week they're strong.
Right, and Martin Truex, I mean, look, Clint Boyer, he had a pretty good reputation. He'd had some success, but Martin Truex, a lot of people were ready to write him off. Is it just the difference that the equipment and Scott Miller have made? Has he had it all along and he just needed the right equipment to show his talent?
Well, I think he needed the right equipment and he needed to have confidence in that equipment. And the fact that they've been able to string a month worth of good races together gives him confidence, and he's having fun. And I think Clint brings a kind of air of fun to this organization. Yeah. And while if you're running, you know, 20th, you know, how much does having fun mean?
Right.
It still helps you get through the day. And I think that Martin just is kind of feeding off of, you know, not only the success, but just the fact that man, I think there's a kind of just a new attitude, kind of light. It's more light around there.
This also seems to be a classic case of a team saying, you know, we're kind of struggling along in a mediocre zone. We need to make some big changes. We need to kind of blow it up and start over. Because at the end of last year, they were building a lot of new race cars. They were bringing in a lot of new people. Martin got Chad Johnson as his crew chief. I mean, there's a lot of things going on. And it's only now, I think, that we're starting to see the payoff of some of those moves they made last season.
Yeah, and I mean, don't count out Mark Martin. And even though he's not running a full season, the thing is that when you put Mark Martin in your car and he says, well, it's good or it's bad, you're like, okay, that validates what we're
The driver is a
thinking.
data acquisition system, and he's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Brian Vickers, I mean, he's got 2 starts, but is ranked in the points ahead of guys with 6 and 7 starts. I mean, a little bit of redemption not only for Martin Truex Jr., but possibly for Brian Vickers.
Do you think Mark Martin kind of secretly maybe wishes he were in the points?
No, not at all.
You don't think he's tempted at all to do a full season next year or something?
Not at all. I think Mark Martin loves what he's doing. Mark Martin.
No Talladega for me,
when Mark Martin started racing, it was about the wins. It wasn't about points. Yeah, there was some money at the end, but it was about racing every weekend. And he's back in that mindset, and that's what he likes. He doesn't. I don't think it's going to gnaw at him if he doesn't win a championship. He'd rather run the last 2 years of his career, or 4 years, or 6 years of his career,
have fun,
having fun,
races.
winning races, rather than worrying about where he's in the points every week.
Well, we're close to a quarter of the way through the season, and Michael Waltrip Racing has 2 cars in the top 10. Martin Truex Jr. 4th, Clint Boyer's 10th. Quickly, do you guys think those 2 drivers will be in the chase at the end of the season?
I think one of them will be. I'm not sure about both of them.
I'll say from what I've seen this year so far, I would say yes, they'll both be in the chase.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bob. I think Martin Truex Jr. I think is the real deal. I think he's going to have that consistency, and if Clint Boyer can just get a little bit more consistent, I think he can hold on to one of those top 10 spots too. All right, for Tom Vandervoort and Bob Pockrass, I'm Stephen Levine. Thanks for watching.